Welcome back to the show. Before we dive in, today's episode is brought to you by Cogniify. Cogniify works with Fortune 500 and global enterprises to solve AI questions and ambitions. Specifically, they help enterprise organization move from scattered pilots and readiness assessments to multi-year production scale AI. With governance, financial transparency, and operational discipline built in from day one, not bolted on, built in. If you if your organization has invested in AI and is still asking why it isn't showing up on the P&L, Cogniify is worth a conversation. Now, today's guest. My guest today is Ashish Gupta, SVP of Enterprise Revenue at Cogniify, based in the United States. Ashish is one of those rare commercial leaders who built his credibility from the ground up, starting as a software engineer, just like me, spending years in data and analytics trenches at firms like Infosys and uh, Mu Sigma, and working his way into enterprise AI space at a time when most organizations were still figuring out what a data strategy even meant. Uh, he holds an MBA from IBS Hyderabad and has spent the better part of 2 decades at the intersection of AI, enterprise systems, and business outcomes, working with global organizations across industries to move past the pilot stage into real, measurable production at scale. At Cogniify, he leads enterprise revenue, which means he is the person responsible for translating what their future Fortune 100 clients actually need into engagement that deliver, not PowerPoints, outcomes. He's also someone who thinks publicly and clearly about where enterprise AI is going, particularly around economics of the AI architecture, why most scaling efforts stall, and what the organizations that are actually winning uh, are doing differently. Ashish, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Shabazz. It's a pleasure
No,
to meet you.
it's a pleasure as well. So here's how I usually like to run these three parts, pretty simple. We will start with your background, how you got to where you are, what shaped your thinking on enterprise AI and revenue strategy. Then we will move into present, what you are navigating right now, what the real challenges look like at scale. And then we will close on the future, where you see this space heading and what means for organizations trying to build serious AI capabilities. The whole thing is a conversation, not an interview. If something sparks a tangent worth chasing, we will chase it. Ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Let's go. So let's start with the origin. Can you take me back to where this started for you? What is the through line from your early career to where you are right now at Cogniify?
Sure, Shabazz. So my career started in 2007. Okay,
Mhm.
post my engineering, I
Okay,
started out with Capgemini as
okay,
a, BI analyst.
right,
So it was in 2007. It was not much analytics. Everything was BI, business intelligence. Right?
right.
So we were part of the business intelligence team. I'm not sure whether folks we are old now, but folks like us will remember data stage. They'll
Absolutely.
remember
Yep.
Informatica, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So we're all legacy folks, right? So we started on those legacy folks. We worked on the legacy migration. So migration used to be a big thing in those days. Migration from mainframe
Hmm.
to SQL or Oracle frameworks, right? So
Hmm.
creating the ETL workflows, either Informatica or data stage. Okay. And then Cognos used to be there. I don't know if not much people, not many folks use Cognos now, but and then business objects. Right? So
Right.
so I did the entire lot. Right? I was into both ETL and reporting that time, right? And worked there for a couple of years. Very good experience, right? And a lot of it, what I am now, is uh, because of Capgemini and my first managers, William Salmon and Rajesh Sapte, right? And post which I went on for my MBA at IBS Hyderabad. Did my MBA in marketing and operations.
Mhm.
Operations primarily because I wanted to continue in this field of analytics and BI, right? Because of my experience in BI, I started out at Fractal post my MBA, Fractal Analytics. Worked there for a couple of years. Then sometime with Mu Sigma. Then a startup. Then moved on to Infosys. So Infosys, I was there for about almost 8 years. Infosys BPM. So played multiple roles. I've played multiple roles through my career. Started out as a pure play developer, right, like you said, Shabazz, right? And then over a period of time, what I realized is a lot of my success, which I have got, is in front of the customer, talking to them at the intersection of data, technology, and analytics, right? So that is the intersection where I primarily operate, right? And that is where I found success. So moving on from development to consulting, then moving on into a pure play sales, right? That is how my career trajectory has been. Um, and now I am at Cogniify. At Cogniify, I lead the enterprise growth. Responsible for growing Cogniify for the next stage, right? And Cogniify is a year-old startup, started by ex-bank folks. And the purpose of Cogniify is to productionize AI, like you rightly said,
Right.
move enterprises from pilots to production, right?
Right.
We identified this gap almost a year back. This is something which OpenAI and Anthropic have started to do just now. They just opened their own consulting arms to solve
Mhm.
exactly that problem.
Right.
We were the forerunners in identifying that gap, and we see a lot of potential
Mhm.
in moving AI pilots into production as we grow along. And I think that will be the growth trajectory as well for the next at least 5 years or so, at least 5 to 6 years, right, until we
Okay,
achieve
great.
a certain level of maturity.
Great. Great. Thank you for the very insightful answer. So I'm going to skip a couple of questions because you already covered them. So, as SVP of Enterprise Revenue at an AI firm is a specific vantage point. You sit
Mhm.
at the intersection of what clients want and what can actually be delivered. What has
Right.
surprised you most about that position?
I think a couple of things, right? So AI as the tech itself is changing very, very rapidly, right?
Right.
The entire tech landscape changes in 6 months or so, right?
Hmm.
So while it is not new for us, right? The scale of change is very rapid, right? And it puts a lot of pressure on the client, specifically when they're trying to implement a certain AI platform, and by the time it gets implemented, either some components are redundant or they have moved or it has already been pre-built in one of the later updates that are coming through the tool, right? So that is one challenge that we see. Okay, another challenge that we are seeing is the business not being ready for AI, right? So while the senior leadership is convinced that AI is the way forward, right? There are a lot of things that need to happen in the back end before commitments can be made in terms of throughput or benefits, right? The engineering needs to be done properly, your data pipes need to be put properly, your tech stack has to be set up properly. So there's a lot of back end work that needs to happen before the benefits can even start coming, right? So that kind of in-depth understanding of the scale of uh, implementation, I would say, or the scale of execution. Okay, that is one gap that we see. Okay, and
Mhm.
but at Cogniify we are very very transparent in that. Okay, we inform the client and educate every customer. Okay, what are the risks and what are the challenges? We give them the lay of the land as to where they stand right now, and if they want to reach a particular level, how much time it is going to take and why it is going to take. Okay, so
Right.
we are not amongst those who will just go out and implement a tool. Okay, we are there to help you from the strategy to execution and then support as well, right? So we will walk you, will hold your hand through the entire journey.
That's great. So let's look into industry perspective. When you look across your client landscape, who is actually winning and what are they doing differently from organizations that are still stuck at the pilot stage?
Okay, I think some early mover advantage definitely helps. Okay, so folks who started out early, okay, they have figured out the kinks. Okay, they have kind of understood what it takes in the last 3 years. Okay, there's still organizations who are just starting out on their AI journey. Okay, so while they would already have an analytics team, many of our prospects or leads are just starting out on the AI journey, right? So they're like already 3 or 4 years behind, right? But I think a clear vision from the leadership, okay, is what drives. Okay, clear I would say clear vision from the leadership need not be at a headcount level, but it has to be more of an ROI as to what AI can do. Okay, AI, everybody who is succeeding in the AI journey, and most I'm talking for most of the folks, are the ones who see AI as an enabler and not as AI as a replacement. Right. So I think that is folks who are taking that approach are seeing much more success, I would say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You brought up a very good point. AI being an enabler, not a replacement. I really like that. Uh, so here's a phrase I kept hearing: AI readiness. What does
Mhm.
that actually mean in practice, and how do you know when an organization is not ready, even if they think they are ready?
Oh, that's an interesting question, Shabazz. Okay, so this is again one of the things that we realized, and like I was just telling you a minute back. Okay, that organizations, while they believe they are at a certain stage of maturity,
Mhm,
they need to be told about the lay of the land, right? So at Cogniify, for example, we have a readiness audit. Okay, we have something called as an AI readiness audit. So what it does is it takes all the data that you have, right? It takes you the so we sit with you. Okay, we understand your tech landscape. We understand what data you have. Okay, what kind of strategy you have. What is your tech stack roadmap? We take we have workshops with the leadership, and then
mhm,
within the next 3 or 4 weeks, it's a 4 week journey, right? And at the end of 4 to 5 weeks, we kind of create a roadmap for you. Okay, we tell
mhm,
you, okay, this is where you are. Okay, and if the leadership believes that okay, you want to be at an uh, stage X, then we'll tell you, okay, what is going to take you to go from point A to point X. And we create that kind of a roadmap. Okay, so that is something, or that is what we call as an AI readiness audit. But to answer your question, Shabazz, AI readiness is having the right data, put in the right structure, okay, having the right tech stack, okay, having the right mindset, okay, and being able to work backwards from that. Okay, so if your goal is very clear, what you want to achieve, if your metrics are very clear, okay, and your data pipelines are clear, your tech stack is clear, then I think that is what I would call the AI readiness.
absolutely. Absolutely. Uh, let's move on to growth and systems. When
Mhm.
an enterprise client comes to Cogniify and says, we want to scale our AI, what does the actual conversation look like in that first engagement? And where do you usually find the real bottleneck hiding?
Okay. Uh, okay. So I think when you said tech and systems, I think that by itself answers a lot of the
Right,
challenges, right?
right.
So, uh, uh, so one of the things that we have seen, right, and I want to take some examples out, right? Um, Earlier, people used to think that, okay, if I've given a GPT Pro license, or if I've purchased a
Hmm.
Gemini Pro license or a cloud license for my team, okay, I'm AI ready. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm done now. Okay,
Right.
now that is a common theme that we come across when we first meet the customer, right? They'll tell, okay, we have had uh, these LLMs with us for quite some time. We have
Right.
created like 20 pilots. Okay, now we have done this, we have done that, and then we see a few demos that they have built from the team, right?
Absolutely.
And one of the challenges that immediately comes across is the follow-on question is, how many of these have moved to production? Okay, and that is where the tech and the systems come into play, and which is where we tell them, okay, you have built up pellets, good, okay, but it is not production ready. Production not being ready is a function of multiple things. Okay, you have not thought of how the final output is going to look like. You have not thought about how the data pipelines are going to look like. You have not created your DevOps framework. You have not created your responsible AI. You have not created your governance framework, right? So and then you have not looked at security, cyber security, and other things, data security, cyber security, and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So there's so many, or you say, areas that can fail, right? And that is the first things that come up in these conversations as to
Hmm.
when the customer comes in, they'll say they have done some X, Y, and Z. How much of that has moved into production? If not, why? Okay, and that is the first set of conversations that we typically have, and these are some of the pitfalls that we see in almost every conversation.
Right. So pilots get approved, budgets get allocated, and then a lot of them just stall. From what you have seen, what is the actually what is actually killing them before they reach production?
So I think the interest kind of fizzles out. Okay, so for example, the start of the year. Okay, so you take some budgets. Okay, now another thing, Shabazz, the budgets also start to fizzle out primarily because of tokens. Okay,
Mhm.
now if you are seeing a lot of the conversations are happening around token consumption, and that is a very real challenge in organizations right now. Okay, especially firms who have just taken clouds,
Right,
some sort of LLMs, right? We are seeing news of Microsoft who is telling their own engineers not to use tokens. Okay, use a
right,
human in the loop kind of a conversation, right?
right,
There are companies who are saying that they have finished their IT budget in the first 4 months of the year because of tokens, right? Now,
right,
that is one of the reasons which we are seeing that the interest fizzles out, because there is no governance mechanism that has been set in terms of the token consumption. There is no
right,
governance mechanism that has been set in terms of who is using, how much is being used, why it is being used, and is it being used in the best possible manner, right? So
right.
this typically in the area of FinOps or
Hmm.
governance cycle, right? That is very important to be set up whenever you're trying to set up any AI, whenever you're trying to set up any AI based initiatives, right? The second thing that we are seeing also is over promising and under delivering, right? So you
Right,
promise the moon to the leadership, you get some budgets out of it, okay, but then the gap between pilot to production kind of happens as soon as you start to build, right?
right.
Folks with the best of intentions start to build pilots, but then they are unable to move to production for the reasons that we discussed a while ago,
Right.
right? And that is
Hmm.
again one of the reasons that interest fizzles out, right?
Right.
And that kind of brings it to the third point, and that is where the leadership at these firms reach out to organizations like Cogniify to help them move the pilots to production.
Hmm. So maybe these issues that you mentioned has something to do with the governance. What does it look like when an enterprise tries to scale AI without governance in place? And how late in the process does that usually catch up with them?
So I think it catches up within the first 6 months of
Okay.
execution, right? So primarily, the first challenge that starts to come in is the cloud bill and the token consumption. Okay, so I think those are the first set of cloud bills starts to hit you in the maybe in the third or fourth month once the models are ready and you have started to put them on the cloud. Okay, and then you're starting to consume the tokens once we have put things on cloud. I think fourth to sixth month onwards, I think is when you start to realize that, okay, the there is definitely a governance gap in terms of what is being consumed, how much is being consumed, and why is it being consumed.
That's good. ROI on AI is something every CFO is asking about, and almost no one has a clean answer to it. How
Mhm.
are the enterprises that are uh, further ahead actually measuring this?
Oh, that's a very good example, very good question, Shabaz. And I think uh, this is very much related to your earlier question as well, right?
Hmm.
So CFOs are not asking ROI, right? They're asking governance
Right.
on spend. Okay, they're not asking ROI, right? So they're only asking, if I'm spending $1 million, what is it being spent on? Okay,
Hmm.
and how is the organization benefiting out of it? Okay, all the CFOs that we have spoken to, all the CXOs that we have spoken to, are convinced that AI is the way ahead. Nobody is questioning otherwise. The
Right.
what they're asking us, and what they're asking their own teams first is, what are you spending on? Why you're spending it? Do you even know what you're going to get out of it? Right? Help
Right.
us bring that clarity. Okay,
Right.
and that is where Cogniify comes in. So we have accelerators. Okay, we have something called as a FinOps
Hmm.
accelerator, which essentially monitors all your cloud usage across clouds, across multiple storage platforms. Okay, it can
Hmm.
also look at a team level, at an individual level, which model or which team is consuming the most cloud usage, right? So we called it as something called a cloud shock. Okay,
Right.
so the cloud shock hits the CFO at the end of every month. Okay, you have received your bill is $1 million or 100K or 500K. Okay, so
Hmm.
you get it across different cloud platforms, but the CFO by himself cannot understand why am I paying this 500K or a $1 million, right? That is where the governance comes in. That is where we help organizations. We tell them, okay, this is the model, okay, which has consumed the most cloud. Okay, do you really want it? Do you not want it? This is a
Hmm.
team, for example, the credit team is using the most cloud. Okay, the usage in cloud is very high by the credit team. Okay, and then you can drill down and see, okay, if there's some models which are still needed, whether they are not needed, right? So that kind of governance, that is first set of governance that the team is looking at. Again,
Right.
from token utilization, then we have another tool which is the token optimization tool, where we kind of look at an individual level, at a team level, at an overall governance level, how much of the tokens have been consumed at a month. Okay, what was the inflection point, right? So every team right now, at least in US, uses Cursor or one of the coding platforms, right? So how much? What was the inflection point between manual code and AI code? Okay,
Hmm.
when did it have the inflection? How much of the code has gone into production? How much of the AI code has gone into production? What
Right.
is your token? What do you say? What is your token utilization? Okay, and are
Hmm.
you effective in using the token? So we have got different governance frameworks. So combination of all of these helps the CFO govern the cloud usage. He can have his own small team, a small tech team, or he can work with the data engineering team hand in hand, just to understand what is the bill that he's going to spend on, right? But just to
Right.
reiterate, none of the CXOs that we have met has ever told us that AI is not the way ahead. Everybody is sold. Everybody is convinced that AI is the way ahead. All they are
Right.
asking us, or their own teams first, is help us understand what we are paying for.
Right. Which is a fair question to ask.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
from the team and leadership, what do the best enterprise AI buyers look like internally? What skills or mindsets do they have that makes them genuinely effective at driving adoption across their organization?
Okay. So I think everything starts top down, right? So
Right.
if you see, and again, I can take names. Okay, I can take examples. There's so many examples that are there, right? Now, earlier, what used to happen, and this just I'm just seeing it from a newsfeed. Uh, the typical way to become a CEO was, you have to be either a CFO or you have to be head of sales. Okay, and then that was the trajectory that could push you to become a CEO. Okay, now what I'm seeing now is uh, somebody who has been driving analytics, or who has been driving, who has been head of AI, or head of analytics, or those kind of roles. Okay, there are organizations like Optum, Mars. The CEOs now are tech savvy. Okay, the ones who are now becoming the CEOs are the ones who either have implemented some sort of analytics in their journey, or
Right.
who understand tech very, very well. Okay, even
Right.
though tech may not be part of their core product or service offering,
Product.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say here, Shabazz, is if you are a CEO right now, you need to be tech savvy. Okay, you need to have implemented AI in some form across the years that you have been. Okay, and then once you are in that stage, you kind of create the entire trajectory for your own organization, right? So everything flows top to bottom, right? So if the CEO says something, then everything kind of goes down there. So if the CEO is tech ready, and that is what we are seeing right now, everybody whom we are talking to knows the tech, knows what his own team is doing, knows what initiatives are happening in their competitor side. They have their own not, they have their own annual plans and what they want to do, what AI implementations they want to do this year, right? So that kind of mindset uh, flows down, and that is what makes the team more effective.
Okay, so I need a quick short answer to this. It's just out of curiosity. What does a high functioning AI team look like at the enterprise level, and what roles do most organizations consistently uh, underinvest in?
Underinvest. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a tricky one. Right. So I think AI as a team itself. Okay, so everything depends on your maturity index. Okay, so
right.
where you stand from an AI maturity perspective.
Yeah.
Companies who are highly AI mature, okay, they have got maybe hundreds of thousands of folks who are directly or indirectly working on some of the AI initiatives in the
Right.
organization, or they have
Hmm.
got vendors like Cogniify who are helping them in their AI journey.
Hmm.
Okay. What I think I would say is still an opportunity for highly mature organizations would be support. Okay, once the models are once the AI has moved into production, right?
Right.
So the support is something that kind of becomes deprioritized. I'm not use the word deprioritized, but I think it is not a focus area for them. Okay, so I think the
Right.
focus primarily is still to move things into production, but post
Hmm.
production efforts is something that I believe mature AI organizations can still work on. That is just
Hmm.
what I've observed, right?
Okay, so let's look into client experience and their pain surface.
Mhm.
Walk me through what a successful multi-year AI engagement actually looks like from start to finish. What are the moments that determine whether it succeeds or falls apart? Please keep the answer short.
Sure, sure, boss. So first of all, I don't think there are any more multi-year initiatives. Okay,
Right.
so yeah, so I think we all we need to be very cognizant
Very
as
agile and things changing
yes, yes,
every six
yes,
months or
yes.
every
So
three
I have,
months.
yeah. So through my almost 20-year journey, what I'm seeing now is we started with 10-year contracts. Okay, we used to have
Right.
10-year, multi-year 10-year contracts.
Mhm.
Went down to five, went down to three. Now it is 12 months plus
Right.
extension. Now we are
Right.
seeing 6 months plus extension. Right, that is the
Right.
kind of agile roadmap that we are seeing. Right, and
Right.
it's a function of changing priorities. It is a function of the tech landscape. So no, it is so that is what we are seeing right now in the market.
Mhm.
6 months plus extension is a typical roadmap. There are no more multi-year cycles that we are seeing. 6 months is what is typically 6 to 9 months is typically what is being given to any internal AI team or to any AI vendor to drive transformation.
Right. So let's look into future outlook.
Hmm,
If not 3 years from now, just because what you mentioned,
hmm,
but
hmm.
maybe 12 to 18 or whatever short cadences that you think is appropriate for this question. What does the enterprise landscape look like for AI? Who is ahead and what does the gap between them and the rest look like?
I think this is actually a very interesting question, Shahbaz. Okay, you may find it counterintuitive, right? I'll just take a minute, or I want to share some data. Actually. Uh, One of the lowest hanging fruits in any AI transformation is customer support. Okay. Uh, Automation typically looks at L1, L1.5, L2
Right,
automation, right?
right,
So the automation team started out there. Even the AI journeys, the lowest hanging fruits are comes through uh, voice and non-voice uh, automation or transformation, right? So those
right,
are the low hanging fruits.
yeah,
However, okay, if you see, the reason I'm saying that there is a counterintuitive example to that as well. Um, Philippines, which is the voice capital of the VPM capital of the world, okay,
right,
did 2x hiring this year. Okay. Now it is not a function. So, and that is why I said, right, AI is not a replacement, it is an enabler, right? So now,
right,
because all the firms were able to drive voice transformation and non-voice transformation using AI or automation, okay, they
right,
have been able to multiply their revenue. They have been able to do 2x their headcount. Okay, Philippines is a very good example of that. Okay, and the reason I'm calling out Philippines is primarily because we try to see that customer support or voice support is as the lowest hanging fruits, and it still is. But even after automating, there's still some more value to be brought in, and that is that firms are increasing their headcount on, right, on these initiatives.
right.
So, right. So to answer your question, Shabazz, I think the journey for the organizations will still continue to remain around support. Okay, support would be one very low hanging fruit that organizations will continue to hunt for quite some time. Okay, post which I think supply chain, there's a lot of potential that companies can and should put through. Okay, and then as the AI maturity goes on, okay, there is going to be a lot of focus around responsible AI and governance. Okay, especially in Europe, the EU AI Act is coming up in August 2026. I think 19th August, if I'm not mistaken, sometime in August 2026. So I think once that starts to kick in, there is a lot of focus that is going to be put on ethics and governance in any AI initiatives.
What is your personal North Star for what Cogniify is building? If it works the way you want it to, what does the market look like differently because of it?
Uh, you may have to break the question for me in two sections, Shabazz.
Yeah. So, what is your personal North Star for Cogniify is building? And the next piece is, if it works the way you want it to, what does the market look like differently because of it?
See, I'll answer the second question first. See, we are very clear on the market, right?
Mhm.
The reason for Cogniify's existence has always been to move enterprises from pilots to production, right? As
Mhm.
long as there is work in that area, right, where there's still scope for enterprises to be moved into AI production or to move them into the move up into the AI maturity index. I think Cognify will continue to exist, right? From a North Star perspective, I don't want to state any specific metrics as such, but I think as long as we continue our current journey, right, and keep hiring the right set of individuals like we are doing right now, I think we should be in a very good position.
Mhm. Fair enough. Avinash, you have laid out where you want to take this goal of moving from pilot to production during the conversation. I want to ask you something direct before we wrap. When you look at the business today, with everything on the plate, what is the single heaviest anchor slowing that progress down? Not the list of things, the one thing that, if moved, would unlock the most of the others.
I think um, I think one single largest thing what we are seeing is uh, clear understanding of AI within the client organizations. Okay,
Mhm.
uh, analytics being merged with AI. I think so. So analytics initiatives and AI initiatives kind of overlap at some level, right? So this uh, so the gap between identifying what areas to focus on, okay, and understanding where you stand right now, okay, I think if that gap gets cleared, organizations can move pretty fast in their AI journey.
Right. Sounds good. So if I'm hearing you right, it's not the talent problem or leadership problem. It is more of the processes, the governance, integration, and economics even problem. Is that a fair read?
Uh, yes, to a large extent, yes. But I think at a leadership level, they also need to understand, the client leadership also needs to understand what is achievable, right? Yeah,
Mhm,
sometimes we see statements about, okay, we are going to do some X or some Y, okay, on a specific metric, right? But
mhm,
without doing their own internal due diligence, okay. So
mhm.
having a hand on the plate, on the hot plate, I think should give them a fair sense of the temperature, is what I would say.
Right. Sounds good. Well, I guess that brings us to the end of our my Q&A session. Uh, Avinash, this has been a genuinely
Ashish.
Ashish, sorry, a very valuable conversation before we officially wrap. I always like to give my guests the last word. If something is listen, if someone is listening to this right now, a CTO or CDO, a transformation leader, sitting somewhere between a failed pilot and a broad expectation they need to meet, what is the one thing you would want them to walk away uh, walk away with from this conversation?
Oh, that's a very nice thing, Shabas. Thank you for this. Okay. Uh, I think one thing I would like to say to everybody is AI is a journey. Okay. It's not a milestone. Right? Uh, every organization and every individual is learning as we go along. Right. Uh, So to all the CXOs, CTOs, and whoever is listening and has implemented AI even at a pilot stage and has failed, there's no harm, right? There's so much learning that you would have received, right? That you have that you have learned through the way, right? And we have failed. We ourselves have failed multiple times, and we've risen up, right? And
Mhm.
we are there at Cogniify. We are there to help you, guide you. We can help you with creating a roadmap. We can help you identify what the gaps are and move your pilots into production. A lot of our initiatives can be done within 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, so you can start to have some quick wins as you go along, right? As you study yourself for the long-term AI transformation, a quick win would typically you should start seeing within 6 to 8 weeks. So if you are looking for any assistance in your AI growth journey, please feel free to contact us. We are more than happy to assist you. Okay, and we will be your extended arm in your AI journey.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. That is exactly the kind of clarity this space needs more of, Ashish. Uh, Thank you for being on the show today. For everyone listening who wants to continue this conversation or explore what Cogniify does for enterprise AI at scale, you can find them at cogniify.ai with two eyes and connect with Ashish directly on LinkedIn. We will have the episode and clips out shortly. Until next time, goodbye, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Shabas.